So this looks like murder to everybody else. I mean, fiberglass goes everywhere and all this. So the Cardinal is a traditional sports coupe layout. It's a 2-seater, front engine, rear wheel drive, but it's ultra lightweight. It's about 1,800 pounds, ready to go on track, everything but the driver. It's 300 horsepower if you use the Ford EcoBoost, which is kind of our designed spec engine, but it'll accept any wide variety of motors, including a Coyote or an LS. It's all, tube frame, except for the center tub is an aluminum paneled and bonded monocoque. So it's a steel frame with aluminum paneling that's bonded on for additional rigidity and intrusion protection. Same basic construction style as like the Porsche 962 Le Mans cars, stuff like that. A little bit heavier duty. We aren't going for that last, 3 pounds everywhere. And so we could be a little bit more forgiving in the design of the car. But it's really just an ultra lightweight, really performance-oriented car. Really classic styling, really harkens back to, the 60s Italian designs, and very aerodynamic, very efficient car. And then one of the big, keys for us was coming out of like formula cars and sports racers. One of the worst parts of, motorsport for us was, you break a transmission and you wait for 3 months for a part from England. So we designed the car around off-the-shelf consumables and drivetrain. If you wreck the car, you're going to be calling us for parts. But if you're just servicing it, the ball joints, the rod ends, the transmission, the engine, the differential, the axles, all of that stuff, for the most part, you can go down to your local auto parts store. You can get it from Jegs or Summit. You can get it from any of those kind of places. And then obviously with your drivetrain choice, if you go with the way that we kind of had the design intent for the car, it uses the EcoBoost crate motor. And then the rest of the components are the Shelby GT350 or equivalent components. So the transmission's rated for 700 pound-feet of torque. The differential's a torsion rear end that's rated for high torque, all that kind of stuff. So there's very little that you could possibly do to the EcoBoost to hurt the rest of that stuff in an 1,800-pound car. We're going to build about 500 of these Cardinals over the next 5 years. We're looking to play in that kind of small market sports car area, right? It's really made for someone who wants to maybe go to Cars and Coffee a couple times a year, go to the track a couple times a year, some autocross, something like that, but wants to do it in something that comes with a cage, comes with performance that matches true supercars, and wants to spend less than a tenth of the maintenance money for something like that. Long term, we're setting up a dealer network and some authorized service providers, but for right now, we're basically selling our rolling chassis direct to consumers. So the actual prototype, first chassis Cardinal, we cut steel for the first time on that car in late 2017. It was obviously kind of an evolutionary design, right? We made revision over revision as we learned and got better. That model, the Cardinal, is the 7th car that Bob, our design director, has taken from a paper drawing to reality. It's just the first time that it's not a one-off sports racer formula car, something like that, right? And the vast majority of the improvements that we were making over time were going towards off-the-shelf components, towards reliability, away from trying to get that last 10%, So really trying to soften up, not being a hardcore, race car, but being a true sports car, right? We just came at it from the race car side of things, and we can then deliver a certain level of performance because we aren't amortizing millions of dollars of production molds for some other street sports car, and we don't have 1,000 accountants in Stuttgart that we got to pay for. So we were getting ready to test the first prototype of the Cardinal at a track day at Mid-Ohio. This is summer of 2020, kind of height of COVID. People were really excited to get back to one of the first track days since everything had shut down. Because of COVID, I was in the middle of making the career change to go full-time with Fields Auto Works, so jumping out of the aerospace industry and into race cars full-time. And in the process of moving back across the country to do this. And so we're getting ready for this test day, getting the car ready. I'm getting ready, realize all my driving gear is still in New Jersey. So, all right, no problem. Jegs is just down the road. New helmet, new gloves, new whatever. Look at my driving shoes. Driving shoes are, they're a little old, they're a little ratty, but they're okay, they're fine. I don't need to spend the $70 on new driving shoes. Okay. We go thrash on the car. Car's, true prototype. The bodywork's a little rough. It's, not the best, but mechanically the car was all there. We'd been sorting the mechanicals out for a long time because it was so important to have the performance of the car before we had the rest of it, right? We're kind of in the thrash, and it's the day before the event. We're pulling people, guys, restoring an Indy car over there. It's like, he can wait another day. Come on, get over here. Let's do it, pulling in favors. So we get the car together. We took the original prototype and we took the first customer car as a roller so that people could kind of see, here's the pretty, the shiny, the smooth bodywork, right? But here's the track rat that we're beating up on. So we take all that up and set up for the day, and, people were really excited to be back at the track, excited to see a new sports car, and, I'm kind of running around doing all this stuff. I don't really have time to be taking a break in between sessions or changing or whatever, so I'm doing all of this in the ratty old driving shoes. We get the car out on track for day one. Day one goes as well as we could have hoped for it to. I drive the car a bunch. A couple other people drive the car a bunch. Some of the track day staff even got a chance in the car, which was really cool because they'd seen it come up from nothing, and it was neat for them to get a chance to drive it. We give ride-alongs all day to people who are, interested. What's this new sports car? What's, all this stuff. So day one goes really well. Sun goes down on day one, and everybody's a little beat, but things are feeling pretty good. We're doing okay. Day two, most of the people that we needed to be talking to, needed to be showing things to, have gone, or they're occupied with their own stuff. Day two is for us. So we start throwing sticky tires on, make setup changes, start trying to dial things in. True prototype, it's crazy adjustable. So we're trying all kinds of different things. And, for us, a good way of trying to get a good baseline on the car before we go into production is to just throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall and see not only what's fast, but what's comfortable to drive, what people are going to like. It's got to appeal to a wide range of people. It can't be a knife edge car on track, all those kind of things. So we keep dialing in. Cars getting faster and faster. A couple more people drive it who are, at this point we're going, all right, let's stick to who we want to get real driving feedback from, things like that. About the middle of the day, go out for, what, based on all of our setup changes, feels like it should be the fastest the car has been, really ever. I'm going out, car's feeling great, things are going really well. I'm about 3 laps in. So this isn't Mid-Ohio. Mid-Ohio has the carousel, which is kind of a long, relatively slow turn at the very end of the lap. This is a track day, right? It's point bys only kind of thing. So come up on a car, waiting for the point by, get the point by going into the carousel. Now the Cardinal's a quick car, the prototype version of the car is about 6 pounds per horsepower. It only weighs 1,800 pounds, so it boogies. And so we get the point by, back on the gas, right into the carousel. I'm a little offline, a little whatever, so we're gonna give it a nice healthy stab of the brake pedal, make sure things are good before I make my turn in. It's track day testing session, no reason to risk anything, right? Nice and conservative. And so I go to the brake, and for like 100th of a second, my mind registers cold. And it was cold because I had broken through the sole of the shoe. And it was only for 100th of a second because after that, my foot slid off the pedal and behind the gas pedal. And it stayed there until I got it back out and back onto the brakes right as I reached the grass. The moment I touched the grass, I know, right? The wall's right there. I'm still doing, about 45-ish when we get to the wall. Not a big hit by any means, but also significant, right? I mean, to a normal street car, that would do some real damage. And of course, Cardinal's a fiberglass body car. So this looks like murder to everybody else. I mean, fiberglass goes everywhere and all this. Especially that body being the prototype body. It had been apart a few times and put back together a few times. So anyway, I'm fine. Safety gear works, car works, crashes really, really well. I was super cognizant of the fact that it had been I'd slid off a pedal and gotten trapped and all that stuff, but I hadn't quite mentally put together, what really had happened. So I hop out of the car. My father is our design director, and he was there that day. And I wanted to make sure that, even though I'm sure he would have seen that it wasn't too bad a hit, I wanted to make sure he saw. So I jump out of the car right away and wave and whatever. And the session had been black flagged, and they bring a tow truck over, and the guy gets out of the support truck and he goes, wow, this looks terrible. It wasn't that bad a hit. I'm fine. I'm good, whatever. And he goes, well, we rolled medical. You still got to come with us. You got whatever. Fine. Totally all for that, right? Jump in the truck. And as I get in the truck and we're going off, he goes, you sure you're all right? You're kind of favoring your leg. And I'm fine. Whatever, And of course, all the adrenaline, all the other. Get to medical, go to get out of this truck. And as soon as I get out of the truck, I feel the hot pavement under that foot. And just like immediately, like all the things, right? Oh yeah, that's what happened. That's how, and so I pick my foot up and look, and sure enough, I'm looking at, little small bloody cut on the bottom of my, my foot, through my broken sole, through the sliced sock. And I'm just, I'm beating myself up hard the whole time. This is like, we've got all these racing customers that I say, don't you dare write off a car over a $100 part or a $500 part or whatever. And I couldn't spend the $70 on new shoes, right? So I go through medical, they check me out, everything's fine. They yank the car back. At that point, it was really the worst part because I know I'm fine. I know the car's off the track, like track day's resumed. Everybody, people might be a little annoyed with me, but whatever. But now I got to go face my dad after I wrecked our only prototype of the sports car that he's designed because I couldn't bring myself to spend $70 on shoes. And so thankfully he was, he's a lifelong racer. He has made his share of decisions that he lived to regret. And so we laughed about it eventually. The car wrecked really well. It's a tube frame car, so it basically splits at the firewall. We yanked the whole drivetrain and front subframe off. Really, the subframe would have been fine if it hadn't been that the wheel got crushed up into the subframe by the hit. So yank the whole drivetrain with the subframe off, unbolt the subframe from the drivetrain, new subframe on, back into the car. A couple weeks later, that car was ready to go out and do more testing, do some more test drives. We threw some more design updates on it based on what we learned. That's the point of the prototype, right? Now that thing's still out and running and testing and doing customer rentals and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm still a dummy, but hopefully I'm done with the crash test dummy part.
We'd like to thank Glossit for supporting the VINwiki channel this month, and right now Glossit is offering the best DIY ceramic coating package that we've ever seen or certainly offered here on VINwiki. For just $69.99, you're going to get their graphene ceramic coating along with the Real Difference Maker, their ceramic detail spray. Now that's a $50 bottle of spray detailer that I truly love just for daily use, but when you use that alongside their graphene ceramic coating, it makes the removal a lot easier, the outcome a lot smoother, you avoid high spots and things like that. So a DIY idiot like me in my own garage can achieve an outcome pretty similar to what Rich and his team were able to do last year on the Paris Hilton SLR, which I eventually torture tested on rallies and road trips and all this stuff, and it is now in Bulgaria, still looking wonderful. So check it out now at the link in the description below. There's a very limited quantity, so respond now and get yours for just $69.99. Thanks, Glossit.